And I remember clearly as one of them looks at the other and he said, "Man, I don't know what to do."
Oh, no.
And the other guy said, "Me neither." And that's when I jumped in, and I was still aware of what was going on. I said, "Guys, it's okay. Just get me out of here. We'll go to ER. Easy peasy." They're like, "Yeah, okay, let's do that." Like.
You can try, but you can't beat our wieners. You will cry when you can't eat our wieners. They're great with beer and fries, and with kraut they're even sweeter. No, you can't beat our wieners. In 2 or 3 steps, you could walk down to the freezer. You could sit there on the couch, but you know that wouldn't please her. There's ghrelin in your stomach, and that smell sure is a teaser. No, you can't beat our wieners.
Welcome to the Safety Doc Podcast with author, radio host, and nationally recognized safety expert, Dr. David Perodin. Join us each week as we discuss the best and most bizarre practices in safety preparation and crisis response. Follow Dr. Perodin on Twitter @SafetyPhD. And remember, the truth will keep you safe.
Hi, everybody. This is Dr. David Perodin, and welcome to the Safety Doc Podcast. It's always a privilege to bring value-added people onto the show, and today I have Atham Aldecua. Atham is amazing, multilingual. He's a hiker. He's a spelunker. He's going to tell us about a time when he fell while climbing a mountainside, his recovery from that, how he was able to process through chaos to move back to self-similarity, get to safety. He's had a lot of different jobs, worked as a window washer at one point, and is now pursuing a degree in chemical engineering. I can't say enough about my respect for Atham. He is a tremendous person who has goals and objectives, has gone through transformations, including Psyche, mine, Soma. Told me about in the last few months getting completely ripped, physically fit, lost 40 pounds. And he is also has completed a course in rescuing people from caves. And we're going to get into all of this, but just a fascinating person, a really great guy. Atham, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So what we hear just in the news and the media, and especially around Christmas time, people say they're stressed, they're unhappy, they just don't have positive things that they're saying. But you're a confident person, you're a positive person, you're an interesting person because you're doing things out in nature, you're doing things with other people, you're pushing yourself to learn new things, languages, for example, chemical engineering. So you seem to be different than what we hear, how people are reporting in masses. What do you do differently from other people?
Well, Doc, I am somewhat materialistic, if I do say so myself. I like having stuff, but that being said, I realize how important other people are. I connection with great friends and family, amazing experiences. Those are very important to me. And I think more than anything else, I make time for it. A lot of people, when you tell them, when you ask them out for a beer or to go hiking or do anything, they always come up with excuses. Oh, I'm busy. Oh, I'm too tired. And, I think if you want to have a different life, an amazing life, or fun life, whatever, you have to make time for it.
Yeah. So tell me more about that, about making time. Do you actually go into your schedule and block off time that you're going to be doing certain things, or do you not do that? I know some people that do it both ways. They actually put in their schedule. This is a time I'm going to be out biking, or this is going to be a time.
Right. No, I play more by the ear. Well, I have a kind of inflexible schedule, if you will, most of the times, but I try to fit in as many activities as I can, pretty much. I know that maybe I will not be able to sit on the couch and watch TV that night. That's fine. Let's go out, have a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times I sacrifice sleep too. But that's what it takes.
And what you said about saying yes when people ask you to do things, and I think our default position is to say no, and just to stay in what's similar. And well, what if I do? And we can talk our way out of something that can be really great and often is great.
Yeah.
And I've heard other people say the same thing of they just say yes to most things that are presented to them because they think the opportunity is going to enrich them, and it often does. So what's your mindset for being successful?
I don't know, Doc, you tell me. No, but I don't know. I guess stop whining and just do the work. Just get it done, man. Aaron Clary was here not too long ago. And, we had a wonderful idea of, hey, what if we drive all the way to Oregon and visit Crater Lake? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Instead of coming up with, oh, man, that's too far. I have to drive 5 hours. Are you kidding me? No, let's do it. And we did it.
Aaron, he probably said, Atham, I forgot my wallet. Do you mind picking up gas for this trip?
Yeah, he's always
No,
like
he's
that. He's great.
You're right on. Because why not? I mean, why not do that? And something. We always think there's time for things. We always plan. When I retire, I'll do this, or when I get my 2 weeks of vacation, I'll do this. But that doesn't always happen. I mean, the older I get, friends die of a heart attack or a car accident. It doesn't matter. Then you look and it's like, oh my goodness, I'm sure there's a lot of things they wish they would have said yes to. But yeah, that is absolutely awesome. It's kind of a place where I'm at more. I wasn't that way at all when I was younger. Mm-hmm. I didn't take on any of those risks, and I wish I would have. But right now, I'm doing much more of that, and just for the reason of enjoying. Why not?
Right.
I don't need to know everything that's going to roll out. Hey, so in the past few months, you've been hitting the gym, focusing on eating a diet that's going to get you in shape, and you lost 40 pounds. I mean, this is amazing. But first, what brought you to the point of saying, I'm going to do this?
Well, I was losing momentum, in my life, and I decided I need to kick my life into overdrive again. I was also dealing with some personal issues, so I was feeling kind of down. And well, I decided, what's the best way to feel better about yourself than looking better? So that's what kicked me into doing it, pretty much. It was a way to fight off depression. Let's just say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I shared with you that it was back in 2014, and it was the start of the year. I decided that I needed to get fit and lost about 50 pounds at that point, but 50 pounds in conjunction with biking. I wasn't running, but I was walking 5 to 7 miles at night in the snow, lifting weights, and felt great, and pretty much maintained that. But it was a point where too, I wasn't feeling good about myself. I was tired. Mm-hmm. I was just worn out. I was just stressed and I was like, yeah, I got to do something. And all of a sudden you start lifting the weights and you feel better. And it just has a ripple effect.
Yeah. We were designed to move around.
Yeah. I was fascinated too, because you met with a trainer. You're meeting with a trainer. So I've never done that. What does a trainer bring to this that you didn't have on your own?
Well, it's good to have someone checking your progress or lack of.
Right.
There was a week I remember where I didn't lose any weight, and he got really mad.
Wow.
He was like, Atham, you didn't lose any weight this week, brother. What's up with that? Blah 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 blah. I was like, God damn it. So from after that, I was like more serious about it.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't seeing the scale moving or the the pants getting looser around the waist, I was getting worried. At the end of the week, he will be looking at my pictures and at the progress, and it's like, hey, what's up, man?
Oh, right.
So yeah, so someone's always looking over your shoulder pretty much, and that makes you take you more seriously for sure. Yeah.
And then you mentioned with your diet, what you're eating, you have it calculated down to the grams. So
Yes.
Was that the trainer was helping you with that, or were you doing some research on your own, or?
Right. I'm pretty good at following instructions most of the times anyway. So I just got someone who has been doing it for years. I think he's been doing this for 20 years now.
Okay.
And I had been following him for years now online. So I trusted the guy. He told me what to eat down to the gram. So
Yeah.
This is what you must eat. The same thing every day. And no sugar, no sodas, none of that. No tortillas. Well, I could eat some rice.
Okay.
Some rice, some veggies. Yeah, occasionally some bread. But I had to be really strict about it. Everything had to be weighted down to the gram.
So, the cost of a trainer, people might look at this and say, God, the cost of a trainer, that's a lot of money. And then if you pause and say, yeah, the cost of a couple doctor visits or a cost of a knee replacement or a cost of, whatever, because you haven't been taking care of yourself. I mean, that is, so again, it's, I like your approach. My friend is doing a competitive marathon of biking like 100 miles through the desert and things like this. And he hired a trainer who's done this before because he tried to do it on his own, and he said it was okay, but I really needed someone who could understand where I needed to go. So it was really a good investment. And every day he said, I need to get out and, get in so much biking, and he does, swimming and all this stuff, because if I don't, but I
honestly,
love it.
Price is not an issue most of the times anyway. I mean, this guy, he's kind of like the Aaron Clary of fitness,
Okay.
kind of like a fast food kind of approach. Well, not that you eat fast food, but the fast service.
Right.
He's online. I don't meet him in person. We communicate through email, and he tells me exactly what to do. And at the end of the week, I just tell him how it went, and he adjusts the diet accordingly. So all in all, I think I spent $260 for 3 months. Of course.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So really, money is. I mean, if you cannot pay that, you have more important things to worry about, I would say.
Yeah, that's a bargain.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how has life changed since you've lost 40 pounds and just, of course, metabolism, just everything.
Mm-hmm.
What's changed?
Well, it's easier to move around for sure. I took one of my favorite hikes back in May. And I remember when I reached the top of that hike, my heart was boom, 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 boom,
Right.
Yeah, and then I took it again on July. Yeah, July. It was so easy. I noticed a difference. My heart was no longer beating like crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, Yeah, tell me. Go ahead.
Oh, how about caving? So I'm thinking, obviously, if you're 40 pounds lighter, it's got to be much easier to get through. I mean, you sent some of the pictures, and I'll have them in the video portion, the blog portion. But I mean, you're going through some tight spaces in caves.
Yes. Well, it's just easier to fit into tiny places now.
Yeah.
I can go to places where I could not go before.
Thank you for tuning in to the Safety Doc Podcast with the nation's leading safety expert, Dr. David Perodin. Author, radio show host, university instructor, researcher, expert witness, and consultant. Powerful testimonials. Dr. Perodin has a strong reputation as the go-to safety consultant, and he was still able to exceed our expectations. When we went looking for an expert in the field of crisis preparedness and prevention, David was the single person we pursued. Not easy stepping into the touchier subjects of life, but Dr. David pulls it off. Take a listen. Now, back to Dr. David Perodin and the Safety Doc Podcast.
We've talked about psyche, or the mind. We talked about soma and body. So I want to talk about STEM, and STEM as in looking at technology, engineering degrees. So when you were 18, went to college for computer programming, and after a little while decided, this isn't for me, and you got out, right? It's not for you. And then, almost 20 years have passed since then, and you are now in a chemical engineering program. So first of all, let's go back to the 18-year-old Atham. So you're in the computer programming courses. You hated it, right? You didn't like it. It wasn't for you. You dropped out of that. What happened next?
I kept working different jobs. I wandered in the desert for a few years, let's just say. I didn't have any aim or goal or ambition. So I just worked until one day I was like, man, I already know what I have to do. I'm just not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, deep inside I knew what I had to do to improve my life and to have a better life overall, to be happier. I just wasn't doing it. I was being lazy. Yeah, so, maybe scared of change.
Yeah, scared of change. I think that's a good way to describe it, because the self-similarity. People, all of us, it's easier to not change, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to just believe that today is similar to yesterday, tomorrow will be similar today, and this is kind of how things will go. And I'm going to get into this in a little bit because you talked about Aaron Clary, and a mutual friend of ours, Aaron, author of several books, including Reconnaissance Man. What brought you back to the university in this mindset of, hey, I'm going to study chemical engineering and I'm going to be a chemical engineer?
Well, I come from a family of engineers, so that was a logical thing to do, right? I just needed to find something I didn't hate, like computer science. Yeah. It was not until I went to Taiwan and I learned some Mandarin that I thought, Mandarin is not so hard after all, I think if I could stay here another one more year, I could become fluent in it. And everybody says that Mandarin is really hard. So if I can learn Mandarin easily, why can't I learn calculus? Right? I don't think math is that hard anymore. So that's what made me go back to school, realizing that, you can actually do this. You're not a dumbass.
Yeah. And Atham, how old were you when you started to learn Mandarin?
I was 29.
Okay. So again, this popular misconception of, if you don't learn a language when you're young, 10, 15 years old, it's really hard and it's almost impossible. I mean, that's what the rhetoric out there. And it's just not accurate all the time.
It's more difficult, yes, but it's not impossible.
Impossible, right.
Yeah, it's not. And the more languages you learn, the easier it becomes to learn the next one.
So you have, let's see, Mandarin, Spanish, English, Portuguese?
Brazilian Portuguese.
And then also we're pretty fluent in sign language at one point.
Just to be, yeah.
Okay. So, you talk about, learning calculus. When I completed my doctoral program at Madison, back maybe 7-8 years ago, I was taking advanced statistics classes, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't going to go well." I had terrific instructors. I engaged in the material, and suddenly I'm like, "Yeah, I understand this, and I can make sense of this." Right. And I almost talked myself really out of not even going into the program because I just looked at the coursework and thought, I'm not, this is just going to be too much. And I'm glad I did, just as you did, because I think, again, too many people talk themselves out of their potential.
Right.
And so what's different between the Atham of right now and the 18-year-old Atham?
I'm more comfortable with being uncomfortable now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you something that I don't often talk about. I failed calculus 1 the first time I took it, and when I was 18, I would have said, well, that's the end of it, right?
Right.
Not now. I was like, okay, I see what I did wrong. I see what I could do better now. Let's try again and see what happens. So I went from having an F to getting an A minus the next time I took it.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's just, but I had, that's it. I'm more comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, man, this is hard. This is difficult. Well, it's kind of like Call of Duty, right? Or any video game. How do kids become so good at it? Because they spend hundreds of hours doing it. So if you do the same thing in math, you'll be just as good. It's just that math is not as fun as Call of Duty.
Right. And as you said, just up front, realizing it and saying, yeah, this is hard for a reason. This isn't why everybody goes right from high school into chemical engineering, for example. I mean, you have to have a dedication and a passion into this, but when you get through it and on the other side, look at the careers that are going to be open, for you. And I mean, not only just the degree, but you pair that up with your experience with understanding caving, geology, and all of these things. I mean, you're going to have such opportunities. But yeah, it's the fact of realizing as you're going through it, this is tough, but it's actually supposed to be tough. And
that's why it pays well.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is this whole effort versus reward thing, and people should not shy away from things that are challenging.
Right.
So if you could go back right now, we do a Rick and Morty sequence. We get you back. You're face to face with your 18-year-old self, and you've got 10 minutes. What advice would you impart on the 18-year-old Atham?
I will tell him, hey, deep inside, you already know what you have to do, and you're not doing it. What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
That what you feel you should be doing, that's exactly right. That gut feeling, listen to it. I have always been right about it. I just didn't act on it.
I want to build on that. You brought up a great point. So that gut feeling, or some will say it's tacit knowledge, but statistically, it proves to be highly accurate across all situations. It just seems we have this minimizing of gut feeling or tacit knowledge, and it's people, I think, who get really nervous in change and engaging things who try to also, tell you, no, don't trust your gut. Like, trust this plan, which I will give you. Hey, reconnaissance. So reconnaissance man, Aaron Clary, the original reconnaissance man. So I read the book. Have you read Reconnaissance Man? Aaron's book?
No, I have not.
Okay. Actually,
I have read other books, but not that one yet.
I got it on audio, but I did off of Audible. And so in the book, and I encourage anyone to go on and Amazon and get it, Reconnaissance Man. But Aaron talks about the value of, especially when you're younger. So the book is probably aimed at people age 17 to 25, but it's really practical for anybody.
Right.
He talks about his own experiences, but he doesn't lay out like a roadmap saying you should do this, because Aaron's a smart guy. He knows everybody has to do things on their own, but he's saying, there isn't a barrier to traveling from state to state or country to country. I mean, you can do this really cheap. He talks about one time traveling somewhere and he would put up mosquito netting in the window of his car and sleep in his car, at night. But how he got to see then, he got to hike places. He got to meet different people, different towns, different states. And then, brings people back to the point of saying, what do you want in life? Like, I guess, what do you want to be? Someone who has access to the outdoors, like you, hiking, caving, biking, things like that. Do you want to, are you a winter person, snowmobiling? Do you want to be urban? Is it really important to you to have those types of things? Or do you want to be out in the country? So these questions, because then that dictates where you're going to maybe go to school. It dictates where you're going to live, what kind of, spouse you're looking for. Because, if you want these things, all of the other variables have to come into play. And he talks about his own time, up at University in Minnesota, where, now he's not a Minnesota person anymore. He's different. No Minnesota for Aaron. But it's brilliant, because I look at you, Atham, and you've got reconnaissance down, because you've been to a lot of places and you've done a lot of jobs. Mike Rowe, the guy, the dirty jobs guy, Mike Rowe. So as I was reading through this, I'm thinking, you're the person that Mike Rowe needs to interview for, like, the story of, like, some of the stuff you've done, because I'm like, my God, this is, it's not only amazing, it's also a little freaky for me, a little scary, like window washer. I'd be like terrified to do that. But okay, so you lived in Mexico, Taiwan, the United States,
right?
So and you've worked in call centers. You're a restaurant assistant manager. We said window washer, hotel, night audit, other jobs. So let's say, what did you learn about the world and about yourself through this reconnaissance process of living in different places and working different jobs?
Well, obviously, you learn the different cultures in the world, right? How their traditions and their holidays. But more than focusing on the differences, I like to pay more attention to how similar we are. No matter where you are from or where you come from, we share a baseline as human beings. And I learned how to connect with people, no matter where they come from. I can get along well with just about anybody from all around the world. And it doesn't matter what color or what religion or what social status or how much money they got. I can get along with all of them. So that's kind of nice. I learned how to read people.
Okay. How, as you travel to more places, was it faster to learn the culture and the traditions, or what were some shortcuts that you maybe learned as time went on? Saying, like, here's what I need to watch, like, right away in my first month here, how people do certain things, or here's the people I need to hang out with, or just trying to figure that out a little bit.
Right. Pretty much just pay attention to your surroundings. Be aware of what people are doing. Try to understand why they're doing it, right? Like, oh, okay, just looking at, I don't know, a Taiwanese person, just looking at them, look how they are talking to each other. Like, okay, try to predict what's going to happen next. See if you get it right. Oftentimes I get it right. It's like, okay, I think she's going to slap him. And then it happens.
It's Aaron Clary. Like, wham!
Yeah.
No.
If it's Aaron Clary, you got to slap him.
So situational awareness,
right?
Picking up what's happening around you, and then watching other people, and predicting that. That's great advice. So share one of the most memorable, good or bad, job experiences.
Well, I remember I used to be a supervisor in a ski resort, in a restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, Squaw Valley, by the way, nice place. I had a day off that day, and I wanted to go snowboarding, so I did. You get a free snow pass and all that. But I decided to check on the boys just to see how they were doing. I ended up helping, for like 2 or 3 hours because it was rush hour and they needed my help. It's like, I remember the bartender, Atham, can you change the beer keg, please? I'm out, I'm busy. It's like, I'll do it. It's fine. I know you're off, man, but please help me. Yeah, don't worry, I got you. And then it was something else, and then one thing after another. And next thing I know, 3 hours went by. I'm like, well, I guess I'm working now.
Right.
But I didn't feel pissed or anything like that. I feel good because I was being useful to my coworkers, but also my friends.
Right.
We were like a small family, yeah, and that felt good.
Oh, that's a great
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
How about places that you've lived? What, again, something that really stands out of memorable, either good or bad?
Good. Well, I remember when I was in Taiwan, my girlfriend at the time, she threw a birthday party for me. So she had her family, throw a party for me with birthday cake and all that and gifts.
Nice.
Yeah, that was kind of nice. Yeah, so that's one of the things I remember. I remember going to a museum in Taiwan before that too. I couldn't take any pictures because it's not allowed, but I remember the artifacts and all that. So that's kind of nice learning about the history of that country.
Anything bad with any of the places, that you've lived in?
Well, in Taiwan, older people take things too seriously sometimes.
Okay.
I remember one time again with my girlfriend at the time. We were eating in a restaurant, and I don't know, we were just joking around and having a good time, laughing. And I remember we were eating some kind of dessert, which was kind of like squishy. It was hard to get with the freaking fork.
Right.
I was just jumping around like, I can't get it. And this thing is alive. And we were just laughing about it. And this old man, I think he was the restaurant manager. He's like, he says something to her in Chinese, and I'm like, huh? And then she's just like, shaking her head. I'm like, what happened? And she's like, oh, the guy says that you should get international manners.
Oh my goodness.
He thought I was playing with my food.
Oh.
Yeah. But I was having a hard time trying to get the freaking food into my fork. And so he was complaining about that. I was like, international manners? Has this guy ever gone out of this country?
Right.
He hasn't. I have. What is he
goodness.
talking about? Whatever. So, I mean, kind of an annoying experience, but not too negative, I guess.
A must-read for parents, teachers, and taxpayers. Dr. David Perrodin has written the most honest book about the $3 billion school safety industrial complex. Attorney James Sibley proclaims, a brave demonstration of speaking truth to power. School of Errors rips the lid off the billion-dollar school safety industry. Using real-world examples of successful responses in desperate situations, David contrasts the expensive window dressings pitched to panic parents with the inexpensive and effective approaches proven to actually work. Read this book before you let your school waste another precious dollar on meaningless safety theater. Buy the international bestseller School of Errors, Rethinking School Safety in America, now at Barnes & Noble or Amazon.
Spelunking and caving. First off, is there a difference between being a spelunker and being a caver?
Someone outside of the lifestyle, there's no difference. You can use them interchangeably. Now, to someone who is into it, there is a big difference. Especially if that caver is older, baby boomer age. They see it as an insult if you call them a spelunker.
Wow.
Yeah, now I'll explain why. Personally, I don't care. A spelunker, that's the way they used to call him before. Like back in the 50s or 60s, that was the word it was used to describe someone, sticking their heads into holes in the ground. Somehow that evolved among our circle. That evolved into a bad word. So a spelunker is someone who goes into a cave unprepared, with no helmet, no lights, just because it's fun.
Right.
A caver is someone who is the opposite of that. Someone who goes to the cave prepared. So, personally, I don't see it as an insult. I don't care. The younger generation doesn't care that much about the difference. But the older folks, they do care a lot about that. So, if you want to earn their trust, begin by calling them cavers, not spelunkers. Yeah.
So you would prefer to be called a caver?
Really, I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So years ago, I was working. It was a summer out of college. I was working at a lumber mill, and there was another guy working with me, and he was telling me about his hobbies. And he said, "Yeah, I'm a spelunker. Like I go." I'm like, "What is that? I have no idea." Like I grew up in a small town in Wisconsin, and I didn't know. He said, "Yeah, I go and I explore caves and stuff like this." I thought it was amazing. Mm-hmm. So, but in my whole life, I've known that person. I knew one other person, and now I know you. I don't know people that do this, but it's absolutely fascinating. So, how did you become interested in caving?
One night I was watching YouTube videos. I forgot what I was trying to find. Maybe some math help, Yeah, and I think I was watching either physics or math, and somehow I ended up seeing this suggested video, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I clicked on it because it was about cave diving, and that's what I eventually want to do. Now, at the time I didn't know, but I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I remember back in the day, when I used to live in Cancun, you heard about the cave divers who came from the UK, and they explore all the cenotes and all that stuff. And I would ask my dad, so what do they do? And they said, well, they swim underground, and why do they do it? For the sake of exploration, I guess they think it's fun, whatever. And he would show me the pictures. I was like, oh, okay. But that was, oh no, 30 years ago now. So I saw the cave divers swimming around. It's like, okay, let's. It was a documentary, I think. Yeah, like 40 minutes long. It was about 5 cave divers who went into a cave system, underwater cave system in Norway. I think it's called Plura. Plura, Plura system. And they found out that this cave went all the way to the other side of the mountain. They thought it was 2 separate caves, but they were actually connected.
Oh, okay.
So 2 of those 5 very experienced cave divers had already gone through once. They're like, oh, okay, we want to do it again. So they told their friends about it. And so, okay, they got a group of 5 people, and they went to do the trip through the mountain, right? Something went horribly wrong, and 2 of them ended up dying in that trip. They drowned.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know. I saw that. I thought it was fascinating. It's like, well, I want to try that. Well, the diving, not the dying part.
Yeah.
And so the next day, not the next day. That same night, I started looking for caving clubs. We call them grottos. Caving clubs in my area, and I found this caving club. Well, it's kind of far from where I live because there's nothing around here in Lake Tahoe. But I found them, and I sent an email to the chairman of the group, and he told me where to meet. I went to one of the meetings, introduced myself, and the rest, as they say, is history.
So that's been about 2 years you've been doing that?
Almost 3 years now, yeah.
Almost 3, okay.
Yeah.
So basically just a Google search, caving clubs, and then your area, and
Right.
see what comes up. Okay.
Yeah, you'll find people who do what you like,
So tell me about that first experience. So you meet up with them, and your very first caving experience. I mean, what did they tell you what to, buy for attire? Or did you just kind of show up in jeans and whatever? How did that go?
Well, obviously they took me to a very beginner-friendly cave. Yeah, the only thing they told me is don't worry about the gear. We'll take care of that for you. We have loaners, right? We'll let you use our gear. All you have to bring is maybe a pair of cheap gloves, like gardening gloves. Clothes you don't care about because they're gonna get really dirty.
Yeah.
And and a decent pair of hiking boots.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's all I took, and they got the helmet and the lights for me.
And now looking behind you, you own all of that, right? That's you've kind of put your equipment together.
Right. I have. I actually have enough gear to outfit 4 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. So yeah, you, me, Aaron, and Chad.
There you go.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the group. Wow. So I'm thinking about caving. I guess I'm not thinking about doing caving, but I'm trying to get in your mindset of what would it be about caving that would be so enjoyable? And I'm thinking, is it the connection with nature? Is it solitude? Is it that you're using your technical expertise versus like some kind of sport expertise? When I say sport, it's like baseball or golf or something like that, where I would see caving would be a high level of technical expertise where you really get to exercise your mind on distances and angles. And but what is it that you find so fulfilling and engaging about caving?
To be honest, I don't exactly know why I do it. It's just fun. One of the things that cross my mind, when I'm down there is like, what if anything goes wrong and I don't make it out? And then I think about my family, my friends, and my favorite beer, I guess.
Yes.
So at the end of the trip, we'll always go have dinner. And I always go have my favorite beer. I'm like, this is delicious, man. I don't know. Maybe it gives you more appreciation for life.
This is a wonky question, but how do you know where you're at when you're caving? Because obviously, I was telling my daughter that I was going to have you on the show, and we were talking yesterday, and I said, Atham, we're going to be talking about caving, and she said, well, ask him how he knows where he is, because you can't use your phone or GPS, and I'm like, okay. Right. So how do you know where you're at in the cave?
Well, assuming the cave has been explored before, and you're going with someone who has been there before, he knows the cave, and he tells you where you are. And, a lot of times they have maps. We have cavers that are specialized in mapping caves. They draw them, they make the maps, they give them to you, and, we are in the, we call them silly names sometimes, the ballroom,
Yeah.
Yeah. We are in the birth canal. That's a popular one. So, I mean, the person who has been there before tells you, we are in so-and-so part. Or you have a map sometimes, and if you are good with maps, you can tell, we're here now, Oh, yeah, there's, according to this, there's a fork. Yeah, the fork's right in front of us. Look, you can go either left or right. So yeah, through maps or
nothing
mental
GPS
maps.
works, so right?
No,
nothing.
No.
Okay.
Nothing, not even two-way, right? Nothing works there. Yeah.
Wow.
Occasionally you get cell phone reception, which is weird. Maybe there's like a little hole through the ceiling,
right,
that connects to the surface, and then maybe through there you can get a cell phone reception, but it's not reliable. Yeah.
So in one of your photos, I think on your right above your wrist, it looked like you had a map or a phone or some electronic device. Is that where you would keep a map when you're in a cave?
No,
or?
That's how I control my GoPro.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my cell phone strapped to my wrist, and I can see what my GoPro sees through my phone.
Nice.
So sometimes I can mount it into a tripod. Let me show you. I have it here. I can mount it into the tripod, and then I can take pictures through the GoPro, that way, remotely, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this looks good. Okay, now everybody smile, whatever. Yeah.
So maybe give me three basic rules of caving, like things to always do or things to never do.
Well, the first one is to never go in a cave alone.
Okay.
Never, ever go inside a cave on your own. If you want to get into this, go to caves.org. There's this website. That's the website of the NSS. That's the National Speleological Society. And they have a caving club finder. So you can go to this website and find people near you who do this kind of stuff, and they can show you around. Another thing to never do in a cave is never run in a cave. Never jump in a cave, because the terrain is not flat and nice. So you can twist an ankle easily, and then getting you out of there is
a
big hassle. Yeah. What else? The basics. Always wear a helmet. You'll be thankful more than once, when you go inside a cave with a helmet. Trust me.
Yeah.
always carry 3 sources of light. Let me see, like this kind. I don't know if you can see that. I mean,
Yes.
you know. So I always carry 3 of these when I go caving.
Okay.
Yeah, and I carry a diving light for my pictures.
Yeah.
So I have 4.
Do you have any like glow sticks you bring along too, or any?
Those are not helpful at all.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Only on
It's still-
Halloween, but yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's just more for fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I
Yeah,
didn't know that. That's great.
Right, because I mean, the way you activate glow sticks is by breaking them, right?
Right.
You just smack them or something. Anyway, you tend to do that a lot in caves, so you will you will probably
okay.
activate them before you need them. Yeah,
Right.
right. You're banging your stuff around, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
not useful. Yeah, glow sticks just a novelty item for us. Yeah.
And Aaron Clary, never eat beans before caving. Yeah. Never.
Yes.
Ever.
And if you do, try to not to be behind that person. When you're in a
Right.
tight crawl. Yeah,
Always
I know
do an
stuff.
inventory.
Yeah, stuff not to do. Do not touch or break any formations.
Okay.
Do not kill any life form. Do not take anything from the cave. Graffiti and trash is a big no-no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no glass containers. No beer inside a cave. No weed. Sounds kind of boring, but that's how accidents happen.
So when you're in the cave, have you seen what is it, pteroglyphs or something that might have been carved into a cave wall 500 years ago or something like that? If you or fossils, or is anything like that, you're like, wow, this is absolutely stunning.
I've seen signatures made with carbide. That's what it used to do. What it used to use for for mining and caving lamps before. Before LED technology came about. So I mean, you had like a live flame coming out of your lamp, pretty much, and you could like graffiti the walls. But I've seen carbide signatures from the 1800s. Those kind of nice. Yeah, and those are legitimate. They confirmed they were authentic. So that's nice. Yeah.
Atham, you talked about caving, situational awareness. So what was something that was completely unexpected when you were caving? You came around some corner, whatever, something that completely caught you off guard, and then how did you handle it?
So far I haven't had any experience like that. Actually, I have. Now that I remember, yes. It was not inside a cave, but it was in a SRT, which is single rope technique practice. So you learn how to climb the rope because not all caves are accessible by walking. Sometimes you have to descend into them. They're just a hole in the ground, right? So you have to go down like 40, 80, hundreds of feet sometimes. So we were practicing that in a right outside of a cave that actually we own. And one of my friends, his harness came undone, as when he was in the rope, rope, and he was like maybe 12 feet up, enough to hurt you if you fall.
Yes.
So his harness came undone, and he was climbing along right next to another partner of ours, and so we just heard the pop, and he's like, "Oh my God, my harness!" And then we looked at what was going on. It's like, "Oh my goodness." We were prepared for that. We had someone on top, where the ropes were rigged.
Yes.
And we have contingency rigging in place, so we could let you down right away.
Okay.
Yeah. So in a matter of seconds, I was down. Like, well, if it comes to, maybe it was a stupid thing of me to do, but if he falls, I'll try to break his fall and protect his head. Because that's what they did when I fell. When I was rock climbing. Yeah. Someone caught me, so I'll catch somebody. And the other friend was already up the hill, and he let him down immediately. So it all happened in seconds, but we already had a system in place for such an accident.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hey, so you took a course in cave rescue. So what are some of the reasons people need to be rescued? I guess what are the common things where people end up in over their heads in a cave or some situation, and people like you need to go in and help get them out?
The most common one is spelunkers going caves. There's a local cave everybody knows about, and there you go exploring with the only light they have is their cell phone.
Oh, okay.
I've seen it firsthand.
Wow.
Here in Truckee, there's a cave nearby, and I've seen people in there with just cell phones, and that cave tends to be wet. So what if your cell phone is all waterproof and you drop it inside, in a poodle,
Right.
and you have no light and you have no way out? So that's a very common one. They run out of lights, they have no backups, and they just can't make it out because you cannot see in there. Or they get lost. That's another common one. Another not so common one, but it happens fairly often, is they twist an ankle, they suffer a fall, and they cannot make it out of there without help.
Right.
Yeah, that's another common one. And there's silly ones. It has happened. I think it's happened in Indiana. There was a caving club in a college, and that's what they did during weekends. Somebody forgot to do the head count at the end, and this was a gated cave. So it's like, okay, well, everybody went home. They locked the door behind them, the gate behind them, and there was someone in there still inside the cave,
Unreal.
All right. Yeah, they didn't find out until like 2 days later, like, so-and-so didn't make it home. Huh? Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? Oh my God, let's check the cave. He was still there, alive. I found him alive, but it was very two uncomfortable days for the guy.
Oh my God.
That was a silly mistake, but yeah, it has happened.
Thank you for tuning in to the Safety Doc Podcast with the nation's leading safety expert, Dr. David Perodin, author, radio show host, university instructor, researcher, expert witness, and consultant. Powerful testimonials. Dr. Perodin has a strong reputation as the go-to safety consultant, and he was still able to exceed our expectations. When we went looking for an expert in the field of crisis preparedness and prevention, David was the single person we pursued. Not easy stepping into the touchier subjects of life, but Dr. David pulls it off. Take a listen. Now, back to Dr. David Perodin and the Safety Doc Podcast.
So there was an amateur caver in Pennsylvania, and he told me just recently. So I would say he's more of a spelunker. He doesn't outfit with gear, and I think he does stuff that's not too deep, but mostly I guess out in Pennsylvania, a lot of old mines. He'll enter because that was coal mining country. Mm-hmm. But he was talking about it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And it's when people greatly overestimate their capabilities, and they also have very poor situational awareness. So kind of like you said, I have a cell phone. I know what I'm doing. I'm, a college. I'm 20 years old or whatever. I can do this. And he was saying out there it's pretty common for people to get in and get hypothermia because they'll leave, and outside it's like 95 degrees and humid. So they've got a T-shirt on and shorts and whatever, and then I don't know what the temperature of a cave is because I would guess it's pretty stable, but
usually
even
cooler,
if so it's cooler, so eventually their body's going to start to cool down, and then they don't have anything that they can put on. So he was saying now there's all of these signs outside of caves. Please do not go in here if you haven't been trained. And absolutely make sure somebody else knows that you're going in here. But the things that you've talked about, because people just overestimating how simple this will be, and not taking even the basic things, like a second flashlight or something like that.
Right. Waterproof flashlight, by the way.
Waterproof.
Yeah, very important.
So rescue. Is there a chance you could get a call, in an hour from someone now on, in your caving group saying, hey, we need to check out a cave because some people are in there and they've indicated they're having trouble getting out, or someone is having chest pains, cramps, or whatever it is. Are you on call? I mean, could someone say, hey, we need you to help us out?
Yeah, the cave rescue course that I took about a year ago, it's called OCR, Orientation to Cave Rescue. There are different levels. The one I took was the introduction to the course, right? But even at that level, they ask you, hey, is it okay if we put you on the list? If we ever need you, can we call you? So it's up to you to say yes or no. And I said yes. So technically, yeah, they could call me at any time and say, hey, can you come help us out?
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously as you go up in levels, you become more important, let's just say. Like, oh, okay, this guy really knows what he's doing. He's very good with ropes or whatever, yeah.
Is that your intent, to take more of those courses and to rise up in those ranks?
Yeah, there's OCR, which is the first one. Then there's NCRC, which is National Cave Rescue Commission. NCRC level 1, level 2, level 3. And then there's like IQ, which is already, if you want to be a teacher, an instructor. So, I want to go all the way to level 3 at least. That would be nice.
That's amazing because, fire departments aren't going to have those folks, or DNR,
they treat it as confined spaces, which is not the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, sounds similar, right? Cave, confined spaces. But caves are usually pretty well ventilated. You don't need all that extra oxygen to go in a cave usually.
Okay.
And that's the first thing firefighters think. They think, oh, confined spaces. It's a different set of skills.
Hey, so you mentioned cave. So do you have any equipment with you to indicate that if the air quality is deteriorating, that this isn't a safe area for you to be, or how do you do that?
I have it right here.
Okay.
If there's no oxygen, this thing won't go on.
All right.
Yeah. We know, usually the caves beforehand, right? Someone has been there before. And there are a few in the area that have, we call it bad air, which is a lack of oxygen.
Okay.
They don't breathe very well. Sometimes this is seasonal. Sometimes the bad air is there during the winter. Sometimes it is during the summer. Sometimes it's always, sometimes it's confined to certain places of the cave. So we know these things ahead of time because someone has been there before, unless you're venturing into a new cave, which is something I don't usually do. Eventually, maybe.
Wow.
But yeah, we have the reports. Oh, this cave tends to have bad air this time of the year, so we'll avoid it. Especially if there's a vertical component in the cave. Like you have to access to rope, and then you realize you're in a bad area, and then you have to do a changeover to start. You're descending, right? And you're like, oh, this is not good. You still have to do a changeover. Start going back up. Yeah. There have been instances like, where did this happen? I think in Romania, I think. Yeah, a guy was going down and he realized that he was getting into a pocket of bad air, and he tried to do a changeover, but he couldn't do it on time, so he passed out due to a lack of oxygen. By the time they got him out of there, he was dead.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, so we try to avoid this kind of caves during those seasons of bad air, yeah.
Well, I like how you pointed out the difference between confined space and how firefighters, would typically approach something versus a caver, because it's a completely different mindset coming into that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, most caves do not contain bad air. It's a rare instance. It could happen, but again, if you know the cave beforehand, you know, oh, this cave is safe. It doesn't have bad air, but it tends to flood when it rains. Yeah, these things, right? There's some caves that don't flood that bad when it rains. We usually avoid caves when it rains anyway. Not a great.
So, any snakes in caves? Again, it's just a question.
Girls always ask that one.
Okay. All right. My daughter asked it then. All right.
Yeah, there you go. Near the entrances sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, they won't go too deep into the cave because, well, they can see.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, what would what would be the motivation for a snake to go 500 feet down or something into a cave? I don't know, but
Right, unless it's lost. Sometimes you see, I know, like raccoons inside caves, they're lost.
wow.
Sometimes you see the bones, like, oh, this guy didn't make it out. Oh, poor guy. Yeah.
So, hobbies. Again, I think you have fascinating hobbies. I talked. One I wanted to touch on, and we can get into others. But fountain pens. I've known a couple people who've really gotten into fountain pens. So, tell me how you got interested in that, and kind of how you built your collection.
Well, I have a quite small collection right now. I used to have a fountain pen in elementary school. That's what I used for writing. Everybody used a pencil, but I always used a fountain pen. But right around age 12, I bent the nib, and I just never replaced the pen.
Yeah.
Until about 6 months ago. That's when I got back into that, because I remember, I was like, oh yeah, I used to use these things, and they were kind of nice. I'm going to get one. And then a month later, I had like 6 of them laying around. Yeah. I mean, I don't have like a super nice one yet. I guess the nicer ones I have are a Pilot. I don't know if you've ever heard of the brand.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Japanese brand. They're actually here. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they have gold nib and all that. But yeah, I only have like, I don't know, like 6. I have the cheaper one. It's a see-through. It's kind of nice.
Okay.
You can see the ink. Yeah, sometimes I fill it with red ink, and people think it's blood.
Wow. So is that, did it take a while to relearn how to use that, or is it just,
Nah, it was kind
Okay.
of like riding a bike. You learn once, it stays with you forever.
So tell me some of the other hobbies. So pipe smoking?
Yeah.
You and TJ? Yeah, okay.
Right. Yeah, TJ's a fellow pipe smoker. Sometimes we talk about tobacco and pipes, yeah.
Wristwatches. So there was a time, Atham, where I had a leather watch band, and I had 9 watches on it. So 3 on the side, 3 on the top, 3 on the... It was cool. It had like this different straps, kind of looked like Mad Max with that thing. But yeah, I had for a while I made sure I always had a really nice timepiece. But actually, in the last 5 years, I haven't worn a watch at all. Just because with the phone. But tell me about watches. Like, I always thought they were fascinating.
Yeah, I have always liked watches. I mean, my dad was a watchmaker. It was one of his hobbies. So, I like watches since I was a kid. The one I'm wearing right now.
Nice.
Seiko 5. I mean, I like him. It's just convenient. I know that the phone is more accurate. I know that you can see the time on the phone, but usually the phone is in my pocket, right? And it takes me a whole, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds to get out of the pocket just to watch,
Right.
To look at the time. When I can just do this, okay, yeah, at 3 o'clock, whatever. Yeah, it's just more convenient in my opinion.
Cool.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I
so-
think that the younger generation is, does not agree with me.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that is just kind of dying out, with the younger generation. Just not getting into wristwatches. You talked about pens. I just found, so this is my Mont Blanc pen, and it's a ballpoint pen, but I bought this after my book was published, because a couple people were saying, hey, you can't sign your book with a $1 pen. And I'm like, well, what should I get then? And one of my friends who has a pen collection said, well, he was kind of trying to lead me more into your collection, but I said, I don't, that's cool, but like, is there a ballpoint version for me? And he said, okay, like you can go ballpoint. And it is nice because definitely when I sign the books, it's a bold, just a really nice signature.
Nice.
So it's a special, I've got it over in a special drawer, and it's got a little,
Yeah,
holder.
you went fancy there. That's a nice brand.
Yeah, it
So,
was. To be honest, I got it. I got it used. He found an auction for these, so
yeah.
I bought it used, and then I contacted the company and then bought new ink for it. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, I saved. But it's really nice. Like it is, and I take it with me to author events, and I sign everything that's a book related event with that. So
So
it's been cool.
that's a pen you're gonna use to sign my copy of the book,
Hey,
right? Yeah.
this guy needs to leave a review on Amazon. Just
Well,
so
I'm on chapter 7 right now.
Right.
Once I'm done with it, yeah,
All
I'll
right,
leave it.
I appreciate that. So this is my version. I've got all my sticky notes, and then at author events, there's pages that I read. It's just I just highlight what I'll read. But someone came up to me after an author event and they said, "Hey, why did you highlight all of that stuff? Because you should really only highlight the stuff that kind of is stand out." I'm like, no. I said, I just highlight that so I can read it, so it just stands out. Because they're like, yeah, I was trying to figure out. I was like in the front row, and it's hilarious too, because people, well, I don't know if it's hilarious, but there's people who will outline like the whole book and like bring it in and have notes, and they'll be like, on page 41, right down here, and then they've got all these things right in that column. I'm like, what did you mean? I'm like, let me think about it, or I'll get back to you. Drop me, where's an email? I can think about this, because actually, when I produced it, and I think it's an awesome book. I love reading through it, but I can't just snap back and,
Of course,
and remember.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I remember you mentioned caves in page number 45.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you need to default and follow the person that knows what they're doing, versus the person who's yelling the loudest of follow me or whatever, versus here's the person that really has the content knowledge of how to get you out of this cave.
Yeah.
So let me sign language. Have you used it since you learned it?
I used it a lot on maybe within the first 2 years that I learned the speak it.
Right.
And then I didn't. Well, I learned it when I was living in Tijuana, and I was very involved with a group of deaf people.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had a decent amount of practice there, and then I moved to the States, and well, it's different to begin with. There's Spanish Sign Language, there's American Sign Language. Every country has their own version. There's an international version, I think, but I never learned it, and I don't know anyone who speaks Spanish Sign Language in here, so I just forgot most of it now. I still remember quite a bit though.
Yeah, this is a point where Atham and I we're similar, because I learned sign language in college. I had multiple sign language classes. One of my master's degree was speech language pathology.
Oh, nice.
And I did for a final exam in sign language with my girlfriend at the time, who was also in the program. Mm-hmm. We did the song "Somewhere Out There," and so it's a male and female duet. So then we would sign the different portions of it, and it was amazing, and it was so much fun to have that skill and that knowledge, and just when we were in class, the more advanced classes, that had to be your primary method of communication in class. And I worked in my internship with some high school students who were deaf, and the fact that I knew sign language, I could just instantly get in and communicate. It was a very short learning curve to translate that over. But I haven't used it for so long. I'm completely
it goes
limited
away.
to it. Yeah, it goes away. But on another side, it was about 5-6 years ago, I learned how to read Braille. Mm-hmm. And I can read visual Braille, so I can't do the tactile Braille, but I can look at something that is brailled out with the 6 dots, the different sequences, and make sense of it and read through it. Okay. And I was taught that by a high school student who was blind, and then was assigned to teach me how to learn Braille. And It was, as we talked about learning and new languages, I mean, maybe not necessarily new language, new way to communicate in English, but I initially thought, I'm not going to be able to do this. Like, oh, come on.
Right.
And then I started to get the hang of it and got, confidence. There was an app, I still have it on my phone, where you could go in and practice. It would put up some words and, okay, what's the word?
Right.
And so, yeah, we talk about growth. I would have never thought in my 40s, like if someone would say, you can do this, be like, no way. But it was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah,
So-
I remember. I used to work as a cashier in a restaurant. And one time there was this it was a deaf girl, and she was trying to talk, to make herself understood to, with another cashier, and she's like, I don't know what this girl is saying. I'm like, okay, let me take care of it.
Yeah.
I go there and I take her order in sign language. I was like, oh, she wants this and this, and and my coworker was like, wow, how do you do that? You just practice? I didn't know you knew that. I was like, well, I do.
Hey,
I
so
don't-
do you think you'd get back into that? Do you think you'd try to, get those skills sharpened again, or not?
Yeah, I don't think it would be too hard to get back into
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Boy, I could just imagine. I mean, if you're coming into a caving situation and someone who is deaf, wants to participate in caving, or if you're doing some type of rescue, you also have this skill set in addition to all your other skill sets. It's just amazing. So
That would be useful, yes.
yeah. So Atham, as we wrap up, just recapping some of the points today. First, you are a value-added person, meaning anyone using this and want to think about value-added people. These are people who just bring so much more to their own lives and everybody's lives. They're people you want to be associated with, people you want to know. They're great people. And you're definitely a value-added person. So we saved the story for last because you sent it to me last night, and it freaked me out a little bit because you sent me a picture where your elbow's dislocated and stuff like that. And you fell at a good 16 feet, was about 3 years ago. You were, you're on a rope, I think ascending or descending, whatever, but you fell. And the thing is, you're with experienced climbers at the time, and I want you also to share with the experienced climbers how they reacted to this. So
Right.
Let's close out by sharing this really scary, I guess, climbing accident that you were in.
Yeah. Well, I need to clarify that the experienced climbers didn't make any mistake, and neither did I. There was this new guy. I was ascending, I was climbing up, and I had the rope in my harness. Everything was in place. I had my belay taking care of me. There was the new guy was on top. For some reason, he thought we were done with the rope, and he untied the rope and threw it over the cliff as I was ascending.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thinking.
No.
He didn't bother to check. He didn't bother to. Hey, is someone on the rope? No, nothing. I don't know what he was thinking, or I don't know if he didn't like me, or I don't know. But I was going up, and I was getting tired, and I was about to take a break, and all of a sudden I just see the rope falling right next to me into the ground. I was like, wait a minute, that's not supposed to happen.
Right.
And then I look down to my friends, and at the time my girlfriend, I look at their faces, and I see the eyes go like, woo.
Yes.
I was like, that's the moment I knew I was effed up.
Yeah.
So obviously I fell. I felt like this, and a roommate of mine, one of the experienced climbers, and my girlfriend, they tried to catch me, so they jumped and in front of me, and I landed on top of them, so they kind of stopped in the land, I guess. So yeah, there was this 220-pound gorilla falling on top of them. They're my girlfriend was 100 pounds, and the climber, he was like 120 pounds. He's skinny dude.
What in the hell was that all about?
I opened my eyes, and I just look at the sky, and they are like getting up from under me. It's like, oh man,
Yeah.
And then I start looking around. The first instinct is to get me up, and I remember saying, no, wait, don't get me up. And I told them, touch my legs, let's make sure that I can wiggle my fingers, I can move them, like, I have feeling in my legs. So we do all that jazz, and I'm like, yeah, I think I didn't break anything. And then I start looking around, I see a big ass rock next to my head. I missed it by this much.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't wearing a helmet. The helmet arrived next day.
Okay.
I had already ordered it. It just didn't arrive in
Amazon
time.
shipping. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so I start looking around, and then I try to move, and then I feel a sharp pain in my elbow, and then I look, and I see it's bent in a funny way. So it's like, and this all in video. The phone's in video. Yeah. I remember saying, "Oh, I dislocated my elbow," and then everybody's like, "Oh, yeah." Like, how do you know you didn't break it? I know what a broken bone feels like. I think it's just dislocated. Okay, guys, get me up. And they get me up, and one had to hold my arm like this because I didn't have any strength. It was like a freaking spaghetti,
Yeah.
If you let it hang, it hurt like a mofo. And so anyway, there was someone on my left side holding my arm up, and the other one, and then that's when the two experienced climbers were on my sides, and one tells the other, "Man, I don't know what to do." The other guy looks back and says, "I don't know what to do either." They were freaking out. And I remember one of them wanted to punch, let's just put it nicely, wanted to punch the other guy who was on top and tie the rope. He was like, what were you thinking? And he was like, he was going to jump on him, and I said, dude,
In the
relax.
hell was that all about?
Just get me out of here, and then you can kick his ass.
Yes,
How about
yeah.
that? Yeah, he's like, he snapped out of it. He's like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, let's get you out of here. So what's the plan? I'm like, okay, you take me back to the car, you drive me to the ER. That's the plan. Easy peasy, right? Yeah, okay, let's do that. So I was directing my own rescue. And as we were hiking back to the car, it was like, 500 yards maybe. It wasn't that long of a hike, but when you're injured, it's
Oh, sure.
it feels like hours. And the terrain is uneven, so sometimes you have to jump down. And I don't know, if I rotate my torso a certain way, it will hurt a lot. So I was making jokes along the way. I don't know if this is appropriate or not. You can edit it out, but I was like, oh man, at least you're taking it lightly. So I was surprised at this Zen-like attitude I had, during this stressful time, because I didn't freak out. I wasn't crying or whining or mad at the guy who did this. I was just like, okay, this happened. This is what we need to do. I was trying to make it funny, for everybody else to be more relaxed.
Yeah, I think that's the point. I mean, because you were in control and not panicking, then it brought everybody else down to where they weren't freaking out. They weren't. So you mentioned something before, Atham, of assume you're always on your own. And then anyone else there to help, whatever, is an extra. So you talked about this Zen ability, and not, in my experience, a lot of people just don't have that. But the people that do have that, it seems like they've taken a lot of time in their life to practice it. Whether it's really conscious activities of solitude, of spending time hiking, reading, whatever, to understand.
Smoking pipes.
Yeah. Or that they've been through a lot of reconnaissance, kind of like, they've been in different places, been in a place where, maybe you don't know the language, the cultures, or the culture, certain things going on. You're not sure if is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Whatever. And so I don't know exactly if you can put this together, but how do you think, that climbing accident, everything before that happened in your life, what were some things that kind of prepared you to handle that very, with due diligence, thinking through it? Okay, here's where I'm at. Here's what I need to tell the people. Because, again, the reaction, you went into chaos. So this is the whole thing. You went from this self-similarity or torus of what you thought it was going to be and everybody around you, what they thought it was going to be. All of a sudden you're into chaos. And when you're into chaos, that can actually be a really good thing because you can get very clear and simplify. And here's what we need to do is if you recognize that, yes, we're in chaos,
Right.
But people don't handle that well. They try to stay in self-similarity. This would be like if someone came up to you and said, walk it off, like trying to get you up right away, like get you back to self-similarity, stand you up. And you're saying, no, I'm in a state of chaos. We need to approach this as chaos.
Right.
But this is, I think you're so on with this, and this is where I'd like to think and put together questions, not necessarily a podcast, but to learn more from you as I put together some more of my work. How do you keep that Zen, and how do you keep situationally aware and function in chaos? Because you do it really well, I think, in so many areas of your life. You use it to your advantage.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would say that part of it is just personality, and maybe that can be helped to a degree. Maybe if your personality doesn't help, maybe you can still achieve it. Maybe it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you. But other than that, I don't know, man. I'm just aware that if I panic, I'm just going to make it worse.
Yeah.
If I get angry and I start whining, it's not going to get solved. So I just go through a linear process of, okay, this happened. I need to do this to get out of this situation. So let's do it. Instead of, oh, why me? I can take care of that later. I can whine all I want after I'm done with this. First, let's get out of here. Yeah. Now, how do you achieve that? Honestly, Doc, I have no idea. Yeah, that's why I think personality is a big factor.
And as you indicated, so you had two experienced climbers, with you, and they looked at each other and said, I'm not really sure how to respond to this. And I see that in my work when, for example, it's emergency responders, fire, police, responding to a scene, and they can become overwhelmed by something, either just shut down or start to panic. And not that it happens frequently, but it does happen. So I think it comes back to your point too of assume you're always on your own because,
yes.
What if someone can't get to you?
Right. No one is coming to save you.
Yeah. Yeah. What if it's,
right.
You're not, what if it's something you're out there and you're on a trail and you're hiking and you end up falling and breaking an ankle or something like that, and you're not with people. I mean, you indicated, of course, if you're going into a cave, be with people, this kind of situation, be with people, but there can be any situation, vehicle accidents. You sent me a picture on Skype of that interstate that just, looked like a parking lot, right? We can be in these situations.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah. People are too comfortable, I think. So when they see something out of the norm, they freak out. They are not just to see chaos. They are not just to, I remember working at a call center, that was a pretty chaotic situation. You had always people yelling at you, people who were stressed, people who were crying, people who you told them, sir, can you please close all your windows? And they will be like, okay, give me a moment. They will go close their windows in their house, and I'm not even joking, And you mean, of course, the freaking windows in your computer, you dumbass.
Right. That's hilarious.
Just dealing with these situations on a regular basis, maybe that makes you used to it.
Right.
I remember, that I do a night audit for a hotel, it's a graveyard shift. There's not much going on, except that when it does, it's always usually a shit hit the fan situation.
Yes.
Either a drunk, belligerent person or one night, I remember it was a stormy night in winter. Normally I have like one or two check-ins left, right? I'm the front desk guy. No, this night I had 17 check-ins left. That's a lot at night on your own,
Sure.
For one person. And I just took care of it. Instead of, oh my God, why is this happening to me? Just get it done, man.
Right.
It's embrace the suck. Just do it. It's funny. That year was not my year. Because like 2 2 months before the climbing accident, I had a car accident.
Oh,
And again, it was not my fault. It was the other guy going too fast in an icy road, and so he ended up hitting me really, head on. And yeah, they totaled my vehicle. They totaled his vehicle. Insurance ended up paying for it, and nothing happened to me. I remember when I saw him approaching. It was in a curve, and I saw him going a little bit too fast. I was like, "This is gonna get ugly."
yeah.
And you can ask Aaron. I'm a slow driver, especially in snow. So I've seen things happening here. So okay, it's gonna get ugly. Boom, it happens. And then I tried to exit the car, and the freaking door wouldn't open. I was like, well, yeah, of course. And then I started looking around. I was like, well, before I jumped out, maybe I should check if I'm okay. So I started looking around and feeling me like, okay, yeah, everything is fine. I think I can move everything. Nothing hurts. Nice. Okay, so I jumped to the back of the SUV. I had an Expedition, and opened the door and just jump out of the car. And I see the other guys inside their cars like, oh man,
Yeah.
my God, and I was like, nothing happened. Well, I had a big SUV. But there were some fellow Mexicans that didn't speak English, so I ended up helping them with the translation with the state trooper and all that. I was like, man, you should pay me for this.
Yeah.
But I wasn't mad. Well, deep inside, I was a little angry because, I really like the truck, but I was happy that nothing happened to me, to my person. Yeah, so, just get it done, got it dealt with, and move on. Only to fall 2 months later, in the climbing accident. But then you get
your year.
Yeah. But then you get up and you keep going. That's what you do.
Right. And you have that experience, and you've gone through it, and and who knows, maybe the car accident, played some role in the way that you responded from the fall, and as this builds on, all of these experiences just make you more situationally aware. You embrace chaos faster.
It gives you more resilience, for sure.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And so I think the takeaway for people listening to this is reconnaissance. Try things out, and the 18-year-old you is not going to be the same as if you're 35 or you're 40. Life experiences are going to help you to understand what you want in life, as far as hobbies, places to live, people you want to hang around with, careers that you want to do. And we tend to force people. You're 17, 18-year-old, make your life decision like right now.
Right.
And I think some of this just unfolds with experience. I mean, I know that it does. And also for safety doc and just being around. I've got a large cat to the.
It wasn't.
Stay over here, big guy. He's a 25-pound rescue cat. He's a good guy, but it's not part of the show. But yeah, and always assume you're on your own. I think that is that's great advice. And don't be, people ask you to do things. Hey, would you like to do this? Do you want to go here? Go to Crater National Park. Do it. Say yes. Say yes to things.
Go out there and experience the world.
Experience the world. Life is meant to be lived.
Hang out with people. Don't just stay in front of your computer.
And unless you have 3 27-inch monitors, then
right.
No,
unless it's stormy outside,
Right.
Well, in our situation, I think we're in the same situation right now. We can't really go out, but when it's spring, I'm gonna be out there again for sure.
Yeah, we've got some rainy snow, and it is funny because when I am down here, I'm either doing some work for consulting or some podcast work, but I'm down here much less than in the past because I want to be out. If it's a nice day, I'm outside biking. I am not in here. I mean, I'll cancel meetings if I can be out biking because I'd much rather schedule those in on a cold or rainy day than a day when it's 75 and sunny.
That gets me in trouble sometimes when I try to. I tend to bite more than I can chew sometimes. Like this semester, I thought that taking 15 credits for college will be fine. And then I realized it wasn't fine 6 weeks in. So I'm getting my butt kicked, but I think I'll survive. Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Just take it easy. No rush, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, no rush, and stick with it and get through it. I mean, I'm excited for you. I can't wait. What do you anticipate for a graduation date?
Well, as Aaron Clare will say, maybe 2040. Nah, just maybe a couple more years.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple more years. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, just. Yeah, congratulations on that and this whole thing. I mean, if I'm looking for a chemical engineer and I interview you, I'm like, wow, this is the guy. Like everything, he's just going to be so value added to our company. And this is great. I mean, this is
Thanks.
we need more. We need more people. I mean, Atham, more value added people. So. Today's guest, Atham Aldecua, and he is here on the Safety Doc podcast, a friend of the Safety Doc. It's always extra special to have people on that I know, and this has been a wonderful show. And for think about spelunking, caving, all of these different life experiences. We've talked about a lot of cool stuff, and the bottom line is go out, live life, be aware of what's happening around you. Know when you're getting into chaos, and hey, when times get rough, just recognize it and keep moving forward. And there's a lot of great things out there in life. So thank you so much for being the guest on this episode, Atham.
Thanks for having me.
You think fried fish will do them, but gosh, you are a dreamer, 'cause you can't beat our wieners. You can try, but you can't beat our wieners. You will cry when you can't eat our wieners. They're great with beer and fries, and with crud they're even sweeter. No, you can't beat our wieners.
This has been the Safety Doc Podcast with author, radio show host, and leading safety expert, Dr. David Perot. Remember to check back each week for the latest, best, and most bizarre practices in safety preparation and crisis response. You can find Dr. Perotin on Twitter at SafetyPhD. And remember, the truth will keep you safe.